All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Zach Twardowski here with wyliehawkins and Mahmoud Nasser. Did I say last name right too? Cool.
You got it this time, bro.
I messed up. In all transparency, I messed up Mahmoud's name when I was reading all of our numbers. But to be fair, there was like 120 names in there, and I was reading as fast as I could. And we had 3 meetings that day, and we've been up since like 3 in the morning. So I did my best, but I did call you Muhammad, which I apologize for.
2 hours of sleep.
2 hours of
Give him
sleep.
a break.
And it was like the 6th podcast we did that day too. So that's why that happened. But thank you for coming in. Thanks for joining us, dude. And I wanted to go over a couple of things. So you this year so far, since January, as of when we're recording this on April 11th, from January through April, you've helped 95 families so far for the year. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Got it. And then your team's helping, what is it, 60, 70 families a month minimally, getting close to 100 a month. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you start with FFL?
So I started full-time in January as soon as I graduated college.
Got it. And what were you doing? What were you doing prior to joining us full time?
So I was in used car sales, selling used cars at a buy here, pay here lot.
Got it. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
Me neither.
It's like used cars, or like cars with 150,000 miles, getting up to 200,000.
What did you call it?
Used car sales.
No, the other word.
Oh, buy here, pay here.
Buy here,
That's
pay
like-
here. Got it.
That's like, so instead of like financing, with good credit and stuff, this is like lower credit people.
Got it.
50% down and whatnot like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How much was like an average car worth that you'd sell?
Anywhere from like 5,000 to 8,000.
And then so you were doing that full time, and you were in college full time.
Yes, sir.
So how many hours a week were you working, and how many hours a week were you spending on, like, what did your week to week look like when you were doing both those things?
It was pretty jam packed. Honestly, I'd have classes at 8 a.m. I'd be out at 3 p.m. Go straight to the car lot. Be there till like 8 p.m. and then do homework, study and whatnot till like 10, 11 at night.
Got it. And then you went to University of Kentucky, right?
Yep. I majored in business, finance, and management.
Got it. And that's University of Kentucky is in Lexington, right?
Yeah.
Are you from Lexington originally, or?
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised Lexington. Cool. So you've been watching. How did you and Wiley know each other?
Do you want me to share the story?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. So I'll keep it PG, but when I was speaking on stage at convention, I kind of broke down my story, and then I got sent off to like a camp because I was getting in a lot of trouble, and I was there for about maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, and then Mahmoud got dropped off, and I was like, dude, because Mahmoud, like, he's a great guy. I'm like, why are you here? Like, he was such a good guy. So me and him just ended up, like, getting that connection, like playing basketball, like hanging out when we were at that school for like 3 months. And then we split ways. But before I left that camp, my dad came down to like visit and sort of check it out. And he sat down with me and Mahmoud. And the one thing about Mahmoud was he always worked since like age 13. Like, he worked at that pizza shop. He worked in car sales. You had the internship. Like, he was always working. Like, that's all he did. I remember the story. He told me about how he would stack money under his bed because he didn't want his family to know that he was stacking up paper. So he was sharing all this with my dad. And then, like, we split, and, we were kind of in contact, like, here and there. And then I just started sharing about FFL all over Instagram. And then right when I got started, I posted a picture of my deposits, and Mahmoud, hit me up. And for about 18 months, he was just watching me. Just watching me, and he's asking questions. And then finally, I was like, dude, whenever you're ready, bro, like, just let me know. Because it made sense. I knew how hard he worked and like how well he'd do just because his work ethic. And then he got, sick and tired of the buy, sell, whatever car lot.
I was just fed up one day, bro. Like, you probably saw like the prices of cars started shooting up, bro. It wasn't looking pretty for car salesmen.
So were you planning on doing car sales still after college, or what were you gonna do before you started with FFL?
Honestly, I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to own a business some type, but I couldn't see myself working in a bank 9 to 5. That just wasn't me.
Yeah, no doubt. I'd be the worst employee ever too, so I totally get that. So, but like, one of the things I wanted you to talk about was, I don't think, like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think like you're particularly the best like salesperson ever, or like the best on the phone or anything like that, but very disciplined, right?
Yeah.
And even right now, is Ramadan is your religious holiday you're going through right now, right? So can you explain to everyone that? Because even just like I think it'll help people understand like the discipline it just takes to, do things like what you do on business side, but also religious side. So if you don't mind breaking that down.
So pretty much Ramadan's like, the holy month in Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm fasting from sunrise to sunset, like no eating, no water.
No water.
You can't drink anything, right?
There's no water.
From sunrise, it's usually, it aligns with the prayer time. So it's usually at like 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can break my fast to like 7:30, 8 o'clock, depending on where I'm at.
That's pretty wild.
That's for 30 days. And
dude, I fast till like noon every day, and that's hard enough for me. So I can't like all day long, right? And no eating, no drinking, no caffeine, nothing, right? So I think, but when you told me you were doing that, I was never like, oh, he's not gonna be able to do that, because I watched your work ethic doing this and your discipline doing this. So where does that come from? Have you just always been that way, or did you have role models growing up that you looked up to that were that way, that worked really hard, worked 80 hours a week, or where did that kind of entrepreneurial spirit and discipline come from?
I'd say, the work ethic definitely comes from my dad. Just watching him growing up, working 2-3 jobs, and then it's exactly what it is. That's like my role model. That's pretty much my why. My family.
What does your dad do?
So right now he owns, a car lot, and he's in a mechanic shop as well.
Got it. Has he always done that, or?
No, I mean, he used to work in gas stations, different stores, and just different types of jobs.
Got it. Are you super close with your dad?
Yeah.
Dude, me too. And that's it's a little bit different of a backstory too. But like my dad, I always watched work super hard. So I never thought that you could make money without working hard.
Yeah.
I think some people think like, oh, like it's like what you see on TVs. Like even my dad was a doctor, dude, but he worked his butt off.
Yeah. No, that's something.
Like he worked like 80 hours a week. I think people see like they watch like freaking Grey's Anatomy or something, and they're like, oh, they come to the office here and there, and then
make some money.
Yeah, they make some money and like drive off in their Porsche at like 5 o'clock. Like that ain't how it works,
Yeah. No, that's something he's instilled in me, at a very young age. Like Wylie was saying, I've been working since I was like 13, 14, and I played a little sports. And
so he was saying you stacked up money and why didn't you want your parents to know that you were making money?
Nah, I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know if that's 100% true, but in my head, that's what it seemed like.
Nah, I mean, just stacking it up. I don't know.
Got it.
But I think this would help everybody. So you were doing school full time and then car sales, and then you transitioned over to, beginning to get your license. And then when you got started, you had a super, super full schedule from going to school and graduating and then starting here with FFL part-time. So will you talk about, because you were successful from the get-go because of your discipline and your work ethic, but what did your schedule look like when you were going to school full-time and then also, working here at FFL? How did you treat that to have success?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all discipline, like I had to have class at 9:30. I'd be on the phone from 7:30 to 9:30, like till the minute. I'd walk in, I'd be in a little cubby at school, just sitting there dialing. And then if I had like an hour and a half break, I'd be doing that. And then as soon as I got out of class, at like 2 o'clock, I'd be dialing and then just making it work, And I'd pretty much dial, Thursdays and Friday. I only had like one class, so I would run Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday, and then just do that, until I graduated. And then now it's like the typical FFL schedule, I dedicate my time on Mondays and Thursdays, dial anywhere from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., what's needed to get my 25 appointments.
Yeah. And I think that's what it takes when you're going part-time. You still have to treat it like a full-time job, because you were working 40 hours a week from that Thursday till Sunday, because you'd spend 8 to 10 hours a day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday working, and then you'd have a full dial day Thursday. So for people that are, balancing either another job or maybe you're in college, you got to understand that the best way to have success is just treat it like it's full time and, just make it happen like you did, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's no excuses. I went on a travel trip one time and I couldn't get into an office. Like I was just sitting there dialing in the car. I had to get my appointments booked.
How many appointments are you running a week when you're doing it part time with your school schedule?
I'd say, I'd shoot for like 15, 18.
Which is a lot, which is more than a lot of people who are like quote unquote full time doing this, And how many families were you helping a month when you did that?
Give or take like 20, I'd say.
Yeah. And then, but you said earlier, like I always dial till I have 25 appointments. I think a lot of people hear that and they go, that sounds like a pretty good week, but you're talking, that's like every 2 days, right? So can you break down like what your dial day looks like, how many leads you want to get that many appointments set, and then how you fit that many appointments in a 2-day span? Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, if I could run 20 appointments a week, I'll be set. And you're like, dude, I'm just going to run 50 because I'm just still figuring out how to close people at a high clip.
Facts. And, it's just a numbers game at the end of the day, So I'd say, I mainly run the CRM, instance, internets, 1 month's new internets. And I mean, you could throw in some 3 months, some mail if you see it. And I mean, just put the numbers in your favor. You know, I like to get anywhere from 120 to 150. And, you know, even that's not enough sometimes. But, you know, and definitely be on work spots because that'll save you a ton of money. Like that was key. You know, I didn't do that for like the first 2-3 months. And Wiley told me, like, dude, what's wrong with you?
I went through and I was like, how much money have you spent on leads? He's like, 10 grand. I'm like, you know, if you get 30% discounts, you know, you just wasted $3,000.
Right.
So if you guys aren't on work spots, check it out.
No.
Yeah, even if you don't have an office near you, the lead discounts 45. I've seen a lot of 45% ones recently too, and it's $100 a month. If you're a full-time agent, you don't have it, you're definitely losing money by not using it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then you know, I'd get my leads structured the night before. You know, I'd put them in a PDF format on my computer, so I'm not like scrambling through papers or anything. You know, I'd be up at 7 o'clock. I would get up at like 5:30 and go to the gym, and then be on the phones. But you know, winter came and I've been slacking a little bit. But I plan on getting back as soon as Ramadan ends.
Yeah, no doubt. What does your expectation look like on dial days to make sure you're able to get 20, let's say 20 to 25 appointments? How many times are you gonna dial, and then how do you sift through? Because you're gonna get some no's, obviously, working all internet leads. So like, what does your mentality look like going into the day?
So going into the day, you know, I go into the phones knowing that, you know, these people requested my help. You know, they need my help. And, you know, if I don't get the information out to them, no one will. You know? So I get on the phones, 3 dials each person, and just constantly do that. Go through my list, go through it again. And then, you know, I honestly don't even take like a 30-minute lunch break. And dial days are important, you know. And then, you know, you got to go through your nose to get yes. Like, there will be people sitting there waiting for your call. You know, I can guarantee it. And, you know, those are like the best ones. They're like, oh, yeah, come over.
And I think one thing I noticed ever since Mahmoud got started was he never took breaks. He just sat there. But the biggest thing, dude, was he was always smiling. Like we were cracking jokes. Like we were on Zoom, you know, we were having fun. Like kind of what we were talking about before we hopped into the podcast. Like if you make it fun, it's not as stressful and, you know, uncomfortable. So I think that was something I saw in the beginning.
And I mean,
with
like,
you.
Dialing as a job, that's so much better, bro, than, you know, there's so many other jobs out there, like hard labor, you know, whether you're in an oil field or fixing cars or doing anything like.
I've done the oil thing. Sucks.
You got it pretty easy.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's like what we were talking about before, Wiley. You were like, I remember one time when someone said that they weren't interested, and I was like, I've literally never heard anyone else say that. So anyways, tomorrow Bobby will be home at 6, right? But it's just like still having fun with it and not making it like it's the worst job ever, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we used to do too. And I think that's how you have success. You sit there, you go, dude, I'm not leaving my seat here and my station until I have 15 appointments booked. You'd be surprised how quickly you can get that done if you actually sit down and do it, you know? What are your, like, I know you've had the background in car sales and do this now. And I know other people like Eric Schmidt and people have done really well, and he's a good example too of someone who managed their time very well, because he was still working full time doing the car sales and then full time doing this, like working 80 to 100 hours a week, right? Why do you think it was such a natural transition for someone who has done car sales to transition to doing, you know, the insurance sales with FFL?
I'd say, I mean, your typical car salesman pretty hungry. I mean, look at the shirt, hungry and humble. But it's just the hard work ethic. It's really all it is, you know. And just put in the dedication and the time to it. And, you know, if you put your mind towards something, you know, you believe in yourself, you're definitely going to make it happen.
So from your perspective, say someone's like, hey, what are 3 things I need to have to make this a career that I can do?
A hard work ethic, mental toughness. You know, there's definitely going to be, you know, up and down in the field. The third thing, that's a tough one.
I give you a third thing. You have to actually care about people to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the ups and downs things are really good. And I posted something the other day on Instagram. It was like about if you show your emotions, that's like being in the water bleeding in front of sharks, right? And someone's like, I don't agree with that. You should show your emotions. I'm like, dude, I'm not talking about your personal life. And like my wife totally thinks I should show more emotions in our personal life. But so I'm not giving any advice there because she thinks I'm totally messed up, right? But like in business, and try to keep straight faces while laughing over there because he knows it's true.
Sorry, I'm
right?
just thinking about Deb, like
Deb being like, I wish you were a little more emotional, right? But you're so right there. You have to keep a level head in business. You can't ever get too high or low on anything, you know. And if you do start getting angry or upset, whether you're just running appointments or building a business, then you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're no longer in control. And people don't want to follow someone who's not in control of themselves. You know, if you're like all wild and screaming and yelling at people, they're gonna be like, dude, I have no interest in following that guy. But anyone who's in control of their emotions is a very dangerous person, you know? And I remember in this business, I've seen you do it too. Just stay level. Every week resets to 0 no matter what, you know? If you have a good week and you help 30 families, that is the biggest curse ever. If you have a good week and you do that and then you decide I'm the best ever at this and get an ego, it's like, dude, this is simple. They filled out a form saying I want insurance. You went and helped them. Big deal, right?
It's like the perfect vehicle, man. You know, making like $200 a car, $250 a car from now. It's like, why would I stop working?
Why not, right?
Like I'm still young. I got the energy. Like, you know, I'm gonna definitely go hard at it.
Well, I was thinking about a story that just popped in my head. I don't know if I shared it with you when you were getting started, but me and Mahmoud were both working the same amount of hours. Mm-hmm. And there's this story that Alex Hormozi shared about Warren Buffett, how him and Warren Buffett, they both went to the same college, and he had a buddy that, you know, went through the 4-year program with him. He was saying that, you know, his roommate was just as smart as him, worked just as hard, had great morals, like pretty much they were really equal in terms of talent and intelligence. But there's like a point when they graduated where Warren decided to bet on himself and go into business, and now it's Berkshire Hathaway, and then his roommate decided to go in the steel industry because it was booming. Everybody knows Warren. He had a massive impact, but nobody knows this other guy. And so like he ends the story by saying, it doesn't matter how hard you row your boat, but which boat you're in. Because we were both working the same amount of hours. I was in a Ferrari and you were in a broken down Prius. So,
right.
So yeah, I mean, anybody that's busting their, you know, like going after it, I would just, you know, ask yourself, what vehicle are you in? Is that going to take you to the place that you want to go, and how quickly can you get there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and being willing to bet on yourself. Like another example of that, another story that just came to my mind is, and I love sports history especially, and I remember when Magic Johnson was a rookie, he had the opportunity to go, like everyone wanted to sign him, right? And he went with Converse, and he signed like $100,000 deal, and he got like a shoe, but not much else after that. And then Nike offered him a deal, and they're like, we don't have any money because Phil Knight was just getting started out. But he's like, I'll give you $100,000 in shares of Nike, and it was 18 cents a share at that point, right? And he took the Converse one, but if he had taken the Nike one, it'd be worth $5.2 billion today. So his point was like, you know, it's okay to sometimes sacrifice up front a little bit for what you can get in the back end, and you should always bet on yourself. If you believe in yourself and you're a confident person, you're a good person, you should always bet on yourself, you know? Yeah. And I think that's kind of what you've done with this. You're like, I'm going to bet on myself, and really, you know, I don't need the base salary because I believe in myself. I'm going to eat what I kill, and I'm going to go work really hard, you know?
Absolutely. So yeah. One thing, you know, you might have a bad day here, but like as you put in the work, you know, I've never had a bad week.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to something that impacted my business forever that Zach taught me. So if you want to go out and help 10 to 15 families a week, if you're so focused on that and you don't hit it, you begin to ride this roller coaster. But Zach was like, dude, instead of focusing on helping 10 to 15 people a week, just focus on booking 30 appointments. And I think we've like kind of gone away from that, like just pushing the 30 appointments a week, because that's all you do, dude, is you run 50 appointments, and sometimes you have these super high weeks where you help 24, 26 families. Sometimes it's really low where you only help 10, but running 50 appointments, only helping 10 doesn't look good. But then the next week you do the exact same thing. So you're just putting pressure on the numbers, and I think that's what I've seen with all top producers. They put pressure on the numbers, and then they just got to, you know, just get out there and work.
Yeah, dude, I have not gone away from that. I'll die on that hill. 30 appointments a week or die.
Zach has.
I will never go away from that. Like, I believe I have to breathe air to live, and I believe you got to book 30 appointments a week to be a Hall of Fame producer. So
that's funny.
I will die on that hill. I swear to God. So, all right, Mahmoud, if someone's younger person getting out of college, or they're doing car sales and they want to talk to you and want to work with you, what's your phone number so they can get a hold of you?
You can call or text me at 859-916-3710, or reach me on my Instagram. I think it's _MN Nasser.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you for getting on, Wiley. Thanks for getting on with us, and let's make another great week, guys.
Cool.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you guys for having me.